We wanted to break down the basic sort of the medieval Hollywood system, that caste system.
I wanted to ask you about the, late 90s, early 2000s, these rich production deals that, some of the best producers were getting. Explain how you saw that start to shift in present day and why.
The 80s and the 90s had some similarities. They still maintained the romance of Hollywood, where they were inspired by something personal. And I think now it's less personal and just straight money. So the motivating factor today with streamers is we need to get content into our pipe, and as much content as possible quickly. And in the early days, 80s, 90s, and even 2000, it was more like, are you passionate for this? They bought passion.
Yeah.
And now I don't think that is the commodity that's saleable. It's not saleable, but it's more data and logic.
The biggest challenge on your end from going from a first look deal with Universal, which you had forever, to now Imagine being an independent, standalone company?
Well, the challenge was to get financed, and then we did that. I got financed.
The system that was in place was no longer really fueling our ambitions, our creative ambitions, our personal ambitions. It was limiting. We are more interested than ever in a wider, more diverse set of stories and collaborators. We're also much more interested in mentoring and leading, in addition to still working. It's all shifting. Suddenly, short form, event series, this other kind of TV, which is streamer television and much more specific and talent driven, and documentaries. All these things, these are all areas that we would get into when we were still in our studio deals and network deals, and they would like serve us cease and desist letters. That's not what they were paying us or paying our overhead to do. And so we were always chafing a little bit. And suddenly that in fact is our business plan. And we have resources to do it in a really exciting way. And we are, I think we're flourishing.
What do you think the two of you learned from the experience of taking Imagine public, then private again, that ultimately impacted future decisions the two of you have made running the company?
I think we learned how to be a company, what that meant, how to sell ourselves as a team and our executives working with us as a company. But I think we also recognized that without the right business model for us, we could be denied the fruits of even our biggest successes. And it just became very clear to us that the way to make our company work would have been to stop focusing in a kind of a micro level on the projects and start focusing on things like mergers and acquisitions. And we then recognized that if we didn't want to do that, then a public vehicle was not where our growth could be. But so it was, another big risk was to take the company private. It cost us personally a lot of money.
Had to lay people off, I think.
Oh yeah, well, we had to get smaller before we could start getting bigger again. Yes, that was a foregone conclusion because the other model wasn't working. And in recent years, it went through another transformation, absorbing yet again some personal risk to take Imagine into this new direction. And it's been incredibly exciting. And we're still in the middle of it.
You've gone from being a boots on the ground producer to a little more of 30,000 foot view running a standalone company. How does the satisfaction for you from one to the other compare?
I never did the boots on the ground that I think you're referring to. I only did that three times in my whole life, and I produced like 80 or 90 movies. I don't like to go to sets every day. I don't feel I'm valuable at a set every day. I felt like I have more impact having objectivity and not getting sucked into drama or psychodrama of this new community called a movie. Because then pretty quickly you're taken for granted. I absolutely make sure I know the department heads. I make sure that I know the actors, the stars. I make sure I, am in service of the stars still. My curiosity conversations, quite frankly, are much more valuable to a movie than me going with my boots on the ground.
Imagine Impact Systems.
Yes.
How did the idea come about?
It's called Impact. It's
Okay.
definitely its own standalone company. It's a startup that's on a path to success already. 3 years ago, I saw that streamers were going to dominate the distribution and the making of movies and television, all content. And what they're going to want is the crown jewel is storytellers. Stars can only work if there's a great story and a well-written story. So the most important thing is original voices. So we wanted to break down the basic sort of the medieval Hollywood system, that caste system, and say, if you have an original voice, apply to Impact. And has a population of 30,000 writers now after about a year and a half that can work on projects without having to be at the bottom of the rung of a ladder at a studio. We've had tremendous success. Our first one was a kid from Zimbabwe named Godfrey, who had $12 in his whole life. He had a 4-way bidding war to buy his animated movie. Netflix got it. He got $400,000 and now millions because they're making this movie.
Long-term goals with it's what? I mean, you've done a lot with it already in the year and a half.
Long-term goals are to create a unified system that creates transparency for the marketplace of our workforce in Hollywood. There's $180 billion spent on the workforce, meaning caterers, electricians, transportation, everything. And it's so disaggregated. We have people working in Atlanta right now on my Genius series on Aretha Franklin. They don't know where their next jobs are because there's no centralized system that says, oh, there's jobs in Alaska. Oh, wait, there's right to work state in Detroit. Oh, there's this. That's not an effective system. It's not effective for the workforce that needs the jobs. It's not good for their families. So it's designed to unify all these jobs and make it transparent and give them the ability to interact on trying to get their next job.